Don't fade me, bro. This is the WeWin Sports Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the WeWin Sports Podcast. And we'll be talking for a couple minutes here. Today, we'll talk about my decision to skip the 2025 World Series of Poker main event. Wow, 1.3 million people watched that video. We evaluate one another's performances during the NFL season. Just a preview of what's coming. Mike was horrible. David Woodley started Speed Survivor. I invested $100,000 in Woodley as a CEO and founder. Our website is speedsurvivor.com. Woodley has great knowledge and sharp takes. Brandon Cantu is a two-time World Series of Poker winner and has a WPT title as well, World Poker Tour. There's about 50 people that have both. Cantu always has some well-thought-out takes. Mike the Mouth Madison is a four-time World Series of Poker winner. Mikey knows sports, studies sports, and watches more games than all of us combined. Guys, I posted a video this week saying I was not going to play in the 2025 World Series of Poker main event. 1.4 million people watched that video. 30%. It's all about 30%, an endurance contest, and 1 day off. Here is my thesis. 30% of the poker players cannot win the WSOP main event under the current schedule. Those 30% will bust out due to fatigue. Good players, great players. I talked to 2 or 3 great players that said they bonked out. Everyone, that's 6 10-hour days of poker. Of course, it will affect the older players much more than the younger players. I do not want the WSOP to be an endurance contest and punish 30% of the field. I asked for one thing, give us a day off after day 5. No structure changes, no speeding up the schedule, 1 day off after day 5. It seems most players agree with me. I hope the World Series of Poker makes changes soon so I can play the main event in 2026 and play the main event at the World Series of Poker Paradise. Cantu, what day did you make it to this year?
Middle of day 7, I made it to.
Oh my God. So you have any comments on this?
Yes, I have a lot of opinions, takes. First off, I kind of agree with where your sentiment is going, but on days 1 and 2, because you have days off in between, that's kind of a throw out. Where it really starts is day 3. Day 3, you start at noon, you play till midnight. That's fine. You can do that on day 3. Day 4 and on, I even think if you just cut it in a half of a level, I still like the 2-hour levels. I know on Twitter, everybody was getting like all up in arms, like go to 90-minute levels. I like the 2-hour levels. But you can still cut a level in half. It doesn't mean you have to complete the whole thing. And I think that's a problem like poker players are stuck on. So I think if you ended at 10 or 11 p.m., it wouldn't have been such a problem, because here's what my day was like. Like, I had the closest hotel room to the actual tournament area. And it still takes me 20 minutes after you bag. You got to wait 10 hands. You don't just get done to like exactly midnight. There's bagging, get all the tables, get to your room. It's really 30 minutes after. So let's just say I went straight to my room. It's 12:30. You got to unwind from all the stuff. Everybody's got some personal stuff. And that's me living as close to the horseshoe as possible. Now, everybody else has to drive 20 or 30 minutes home, 20 or 30 minutes back. It's just, by the time you almost have to go straight to bed and get straight up and come to work. And by the time you get to day 7, it's too much. So the plan I like is either take off after day 5, or
that's my plan. Just day 5. Go ahead, Cantu.
Or what I like even better is just stopping after day 4 at 10 or 11. Either one. And I think that would really fix everything.
I need that 1 day off. I need that 1 day off. Mike, you're a 4-time World Series of Poker champion.
Well, I don't know what the big deal's about. You ain't got out of day 1 in like 10 years, so I don't know. I don't know what you're worried about, like being like fatigued. I mean, you have it, and then last year even you had like a 2x stack early, and I'm like, well, what do you mean you're out? Oh, I played fast because I was on the live stream, and I wanted to make everybody. I wanted to show off for everybody. So like, if you really care about the main event, like, take it seriously, work out, fucking eat good, fucking spend every day for the next 2 hours a day for the next 3 months getting in shape. and fucking then maybe you might even make it out of day one.
But that doesn't help your attention span, Mike. We're talking about attention span. You can only work
But
out
what
and do
I'm
so
saying-
much. The older
but-
the older you get, it's not the same as when you were 30.
I
you
get
know?
it, but like Phil's try to may say, well, it's an endurance contest. Well, it hasn't been an endurance contest for Phil. He ain't got out of day one in like 8 years.
Well, that's
so
true.
I'm just trying. What I'm trying to say is, and this is where look, I love Phil, and I do agree because I've made day 6, day 5, day 4, and day 3 the last 4 years. Okay, and I'm doing it with like half brain dead, with like in a horrible pain. So it's
You're
really,
taking Adderall too.
yeah, and I'm taking Adderall to get through, right? So so like I understand, especially like last year, I drew day 1 and 2 like all pros, and then I was like so excited for day 3 with 100 big blinds, and I couldn't believe it. I drew like 3 high roller pros and 4 more
stop.
pros. So,
You've helped the discussion, but we don't
Yeah.
want to hear about your bad draws.
No,
What I want to say
I
is
have nothing
this.
to do with bad draws, but then I just got. But what I'm trying to say is, because of all the how hard it was the first 2 days, I felt like, oh God, I can't do this anymore, and I kind of gave up mentally.
Well, that's the weird thing, Mike. You're talking about like on day 3 already, you don't think you can do it. So, I mean, like that's what I'm talking about. And let me tell
Yeah.
you something else too, Mike. People are microdosing acid. They're microdosing speed. They're taking Adderall. You look at the players that make that final table. They're doing drugs. I don't do drugs. I don't want to start doing drugs for the main event. So there's a huge, and people are like, oh, Phil, work out. I do work out. Get yourself in decent shape. I am in decent shape. But I just know that my thesis is, and a lot of people can't argue this, 30% of the field, even the great players, and I know that Brian Rask got tired. I know
Phil-
that,
Hey, Phil,
people
let me
are
say-
getting tired, and I can't compete against the drugs. All I ask for is 1 day off. That's it. Cantu, before I bring you in, if it's important, say it. Otherwise, I want to hear Woodley's amateur perspective.
Remember when you were sitting behind me on days 5, 6, and 7, and we'd be in the last hour to 2, and I'd say, Phil, especially in the last hour, if not hour and a half, I'm so tired. I have enough chips to get to tomorrow. I don't even want to take a flop. I'm scared I'm going to like mess up, or just completely like not care or something like that. I'm like, I'm just like so tight.
You folded tens late, and you would have flopped a set, and you might have gotten the full double, but you're not playing that hand because you just want to make it to the next day.
I just wanted to get out. I just wanted one more hour
which
to
is
go by.
fatigue. And so, it's a huge issue. And you look at the Twitter responses I've had, and it seems like most people agree with me. But I just need that 1 day off, and that's it. Woodley, what's your perspective on this, the main event?
Yeah, what's funny is a lot of people reached out to me asking if you're serious about it and like they think you're going to play. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to play. They're like, why? And I'm like, well, because I don't think he's going to go back on it. I think he legitimately wants to enact change. And I'm like, I think he's also going to be able to play more tournaments and win more tournaments and everything there as well. So that's one little tidbit for the audience. For me, it's interesting, right? Because I don't grind it as much as you do. Like I've obviously won 4 of these circuit events, but they were online, so it's kind of a different skill set. I've played a few. I've been lucky enough to satellite into the main the last 4 years, I think. And it's interesting. And I've played like I think 5 or 6 other tournaments as well. I think from what a rec doesn't understand is just how slow days 1 and 2 go. I mean, it's really easy to make day 3, right? I mean, it's like it's kind of a nit fest there. So I know they don't want to change the structure on those days, but my recommendation is like maybe make it like, I'm not saying like you would have to start at day 2 in terms of the blinds, but maybe like instead of day 1 and 2, like somehow take 50% of that off, and that can be like your day 1, right? That'd be one recommendation, because I think they should take a day off. I'll leave it up to you guys whether it should be after day 5,
Okay,
6,
Woodley.
7.
Thank you for your perspective. And it's interesting because people are texting me. And sorry I cut you off, but your perspective isn't the same as Mike and I. It's interesting because the people that have been care about the main event, that have been doing it for 40 years like me and 30 years, who we think it's the best event in the world. We care so much. We think about it so much.
No, I have one thing on it. I think you should take that day off. And I heard the other side of it where like, oh, people are taking off time and they have to take off more time. But if you're that far along in the tournament and you're already winning like 250K Like, I don't think the average person's going to mind taking that extra day off. So I don't buy that argument at all. And the other thing I would say too is I think they should get rid of the dinner break, because you could actually shorten the days up quite a bit there, and you could still have dinner afterwards. You get a better dinner options at the table. That dinner break kills the day.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Matt Savage, and he and a lot of people like what he's doing. We're done at like 8:30 every day on the World Poker Tour. But again, all I asked for, and listen, I think there's only 140 people that it would affect anyway. You make it to the end of day 5, one day. That's all I asked for. Mike talks about me blowing the main event, and he's right. But there's also me knowing, like, I already know I can't win it. So yeah, I can't wait for. I've been offered $10,000 bets I'm not going to play. I feel like I'm stealing unless they change it, because I'm just not going to play. I need to affect change. I think some people in the poker world, and I'm very powerful in the poker world, some people are more powerful than me, and they actually help write the schedules. Like Daniel Negreanu has a lot of power. He writes the schedules. And he's involved. And so I asked for one thing, and then all hell broke loose. So whatever, I'm not going to play. I told him I wasn't going to play. And so that's it. I know I can't win because I get to 3 days in a row. So I can play 1 and 2. And then you can get time off, and then you have to play 3 in a row. But I know after 3 in a row, for me, if I finish first or second, third in the tournament, I can't even think straight. I can't see straight.
So you're being honest, telling me like the reason why you've like grenaded on day 1, like late every year, is because like you start thinking about like how tired you're getting, and you're like, I'm never going to be able to make it through anyway, so fuck it.
I actually could see that. I've done that a lot of times in my head, subconsciously. You don't mean to do it, but you're like, oh,
if I get knocked out on day 1, I'd rather kill myself. But
I'll gamble here.
Good for you, Mike. And I used to share your perspective until I realized I can't win it anymore. So once I realized I can't win it, which I realized at about 4 years ago, but now it's like set in my mind. So I think they need to make a change. Okay, guys, it's time to switch subjects. I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy what we just talked about. Now, Mikey or Woodley, who wants to give their rant first?
I'll be happy.
I'd like to
give
talk.
my rant
We got to
first.
talk about our sponsor real quick, Phil. Right after your big segment, and there's actually some news coming out in the poker world about Edge Boost as well. But hopefully, we'll be able to announce that next week. Have you ever had your debit card declined at the worst possible moment, or maybe your PayPal account gets frozen and suddenly you're out of options to rebuy at a casino, whether online or at the casino itself? Well, today's sponsor has your back. Edge Boost is the first ever dedicated bank account for gamblers. That's right. 100% approval for sports betting, daily fantasy sports, casino, and sweeps. And then again, that's whether you're online or at a brick and mortar spot. But here's where it gets even better. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you can move up to $250K a day and earn cash back on every deposit, up to 0.5%. You can see where your money's going, set it all up, all that good stuff as well. So anyways, it's a no-brainer. Start earning with them today. That's www.edgeboost.bet. And that's, once again, edgeboost.bet. You can also find our link in all the socials as well. So we would love you all to check it out. Click the link. Tell them that Phil and Dave and Mike and Cantu sent you. And but it's been great. I know Cantu's been using it some. I've obviously been using it. Phil, been talking to Phil a lot about it and everything as well. So again, we love having him on here post NFL season as well.
Mikey, give us your rant.
My rant is really about how all year I was right. I mean, the Eagles were the best team in the NFL. I said it in week 6. I told you.
You did say that.
You did say that.
I went, no matter what we could say, I did go like 15-3 in the NFL playoffs, even though I quit betting after the first one. But I did bet the Super Bowl and went 2-0 in the Super Bowl. I had Hurts for MVP. I had Philadelphia to win. And I would have won my 3-1 on Kansas City under 17.5 if it wasn't for like getting cheated, I guess. I don't know. Like throwing the ball into the end zone with 22 seconds in the game, 50 yards. But like I said,
2 minutes left, not 22
whatever.
seconds. Go ahead.
Kansas City was a phony fake team all year. Their left tackle was a disaster all year. And the truth of the matter is that front four of the Eagles it was a manhandling. I mean, if you look back at the Tampa Bay Kansas City Super Bowl where Tampa Bay manhandled them, I think the Eagles manhandled them way more. Like at least in that Super Bowl, when they broke through the line, Mahomes was running for his life. Like he came back in the backfield and he was dust before he even. It was like it almost reminded me of C.J. Stroud of Houston when he dropped back. It was like 9 sacks, right? Like he dropped back, he never had a chance. That front, and they did it. Rushing only 4. Think about that.
Crazy.
They didn't blitz. One time, right? And so you saw, and again, it's kind of like a lesson learned for a lot of people, like even some of you guys on the show. It's like you can't turn it on and off again in the season. I mean, we watched the team win 5 or 6 games where they were life and death all year. They didn't look right all year. Their offense didn't look right all year. And also we talk about like Pacheco not being 100%. How were they going to run the ball? And they didn't. They couldn't run the ball. And I think they knew they couldn't run the ball, which is why they dropped back Mahomes. And that was one of the most thoroughly beaten Super Bowl I can remember in 20 years.
Okay, Mike, let me just say this.
That's not true.
What do you mean? It was fucking 40-6. What are you talking about?
It was 40-22.
It was a beatdown. It
Come
was
on,
over.
dude.
No, it was over at
It was
halftime.
over.
Okay.
It felt like a beating to me, and I say this: that defense was spectacular. And Cantu, are you ready for your rant?
Yes. My rant is USA Hockey. What a game we watched last night. I'm telling you, that was the best sporting event I have watched in at least 2 years. And when I'm talking about you want to see teams trying, that was as hard as I've seen 2 teams try all the way. Even in game 7, you see like a little taking off. Times will take off in some sports. I'm telling you, last night they played like their lives were on the line. Now, my rant is that I lost. I saw that Trump was giving the USA hockey team a call. And since everything Trump touches lately turns to gold, I was like, oh, they're going to win. The United States is going to win. For me, I fired big. I was like, oh, USA, let's go. Anyways, I was watching and I was on the edge of my seat screaming at the TV. Hockey is on the rise. Hockey is on the rise. Let me tell you.
2 words, Brandon Cantu. Jordan Binghamton. Wow. That's all I have to say is wow.
No, he was great. Both goaltenders were great. I mean, that game could have easily been 6-5. It was
the 2 saves that he made in overtime when USA came out with a bum rushing him, like that one where he just throws the glove straight on out, like that was one of the greatest saves I've ever seen in hockey, let alone.
Oh man, I was screaming. I thought I was going to get kicked out of my apartment.
I wonder, guys. I wonder what the ratings were on that because with Canada booing the United States national anthems and stuff, it could have been one of the. I haven't seen the ratings.
They said it was the most bet
game
on. They said it was. I don't know what the ratings are, but they said it was the most bet on hockey game in several years.
Wow.
It actually had more than Game 7, and the book said it actually rivaled. It's more than NBA. It's more than. They said it actually rivaled an NFL Sunday, like an NFL Sunday, like an NFL Sunday standalone game. It rivaled that. It didn't beat that, right? Like NFL Sunday will always be better.
But that's still crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, what a day for the NHL. I mean, you want to talk about people are going to really get into it. That was so fun.
And talk about the hockey too. It goes to show you, right? So all year long, NBA ratings have been at record lows, down 25% more this year, right? And then you watch that, and now you see hockey's ratings going through the roof. But it's not just about the product. It shows you, like, when you see 2 teams that literally care. They're playing for nothing but their country, right? And then you watch the NBA weekend, All-Star weekend, where nobody gives 2 fucks, and they want to cry all they want, but the NHL players, they make the average salary is about $3 million a year. Yeah, the stars make like $8, $9, $10 million a year, but the NBA stars are making $50 million a year, and they just don't care. And this is kind of what Adam Silver's been trying to say for years, which is, you guys got to start playing this All-Star game hard. No taking off on back-to-backs, showing up because the fans pay big money to see the stars play, and they don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? You get $50 million a year, you go there and you work hard. Don't give me the bullshit, well this or well that. And I think that's what's the people feel like they're just a bunch of pompous asses.
Yeah, and let me tell you, let me tell you one thing real quick, is the All-Star game. Like I've been watching since the 80s and 90s, and man, did they used to have some legendary showdowns with like Jordan, Magic, Bird, all those guys. I tune in just every year just to see if I'm going to get that. And then I instantly tune out. I'm like, no defense whatsoever. So what if you can hit an open half quarter? It just
Seems
doesn't
like they
impress me.
tackled Michael Jordan in the All-Star game.
Yeah, they played harder. They played harder.
I mean,
It goes
it goes
they
beyond,
actually played a little harder this year.
it goes beyond. No, they don't play hard at all. I mean, it goes beyond just like the All-Star game. Like the NBA product is completely terrible and broken. Like the regular season is pointless. It has been for a while. Like the NHL, so it did 10 million viewers last night, which is pretty crazy. That's a big number on a Thursday night, right? With not a lot of that was all that momentum was built over the last 4 days, right? I mean, if those fights don't happen, if that game a few days ago wasn't as big, it probably does half that number. Hockey's just a superior product across the board. It obviously has a bigger All-Star game at this point. They proved that. It has a better regular season. Now, the one thing that hockey has to do is they have to get rid of the 3-point game. They have to go back to, one team can't get 2 and one team can't get 1 and all this stuff. Like they gotta figure that out. They gotta almost go to what they did in this tournament. That's a discussion for another day. And the playoffs are better too. Like the NHL playoffs are significantly better than the NBA's as well. I'm sure people will disagree. I'm sure people will disagree. But because in NHL, like any team can win. I mean, the best team, the number 1 seed, the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed, the number 1 seed is gonna be favored, but it's a lot of times it's like 60,
you're only 70, 70%.
It's sometimes it's like 60-40, and you see it all the time. And in NHL, it's like how many teams have ridden a hot goaltender to win? Like NHL, like there's nothing better in the NHL than overtime hockey in the playoffs. So you get to that second, third, fourth overtime. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know how those guys do it. And what's crazy is last night, exhibition game, they were going to do the same thing. That thing could have went to 2-3 overtimes. I mean, some of these teams play tomorrow. Like these guys have to fly back and play tomorrow. And the thing is, they're not going to take the day off. NBA players will take the day off. These players are going to go out. They're still going to skate for 20 minutes if they're a forward and 30 minutes if they're defensemen. So I mean, I think hockey. Listen, a lot of people for a lot of times have been saying like hockey's going to be on the come. People are starting watching it. If it doesn't happen this time, this country's never going to embrace it. So like they really have to seize this momentum. They have to.
They will too.
It's been getting bigger every year too. I gotta give a round of applause for Brady Tkachuk playing with the hurt groin, coming in, getting the quick first goal. Then he has to get pulled out. He couldn't skate anymore. I'm like, that is never happening in the NBA. Playing hurt. Anyways, good goal for the Americans.
Okay, guys, now it's time to switch segments. Woodley, I'm not going to give you your 30-second rant. I think you did a pretty good job talking about the hockey and the NBA. But now, guys, we have a little something special coming here. We are going to rate ourselves and each other. Okay. Now, Mike, I'm going to let you start. First, Mike, how did you rate yourself picking against the spread?
Well, I really, this is my honest feeling. You guys could argue with me. I really feel like this year was an anomaly with this is you can look these up. 68% of all favorites in the NFL won this season, which is an unheard of stat. Like anything over 50% is unheard of. And so I really was struggling. I was following a lot of sharp people, doing a lot of homework, and it didn't matter. It just went favorite over, favorite over, favorite over. But when it came down to the NFL playoffs, I think I ended up going 15-3 of my picks, and I was very sharp, and all my takes on all the playoff games were pretty spot on. And so I think I made up for a lot of it in the.
Okay, Mike, give yourself a rating.
Shit, dude.
Give yourself a rating. Come on, Woodley, you're gonna have your chance. You guys can't talk. You guys can't talk.
Are we doing 1 to 100?
I rate.
Go ahead, Mike. Give yourself a rating.
I rate myself in the regular season as about a D-, maybe even worse. Maybe even an F.
Way worse.
Way worse than a D-. You can only go to an F.
F-.
But Mike,
Okay.
hold on, Cantu, listen. Don't worry, everybody has a chance.
Mike,
how do you rate? Okay, you gave yourself D-. Okay, how did you rate Woodley?
I feel on the playoffs, I was a A+. So
okay, Mike. Okay, Mike. How do you rate Woodley?
Well, Woodley, I give his season a F-, and but he's an A for picking because his only winners were Minnesota and Seattle, his 2 homer teams. And once they lost, he lost. So once
65%, Mike.
Yeah. That was all Seattle and Minnesota. He had no fucking idea what he was doing. But overall,
Cantu, Mike.
I'll give him an A for
How do you rate
picking,
Cantu?
for being on Minnesota, and then he was on Seattle too, but that was the worst 10-win team in the history of football. So who knows? Cantu, I would give Cantu a C because he was a consistently like never high, never low. Phil, I actually give you the highest rating. Because of course Phil bets more favorites than anybody, and so when 68% of the favorites hit, he just wins, and
it's hip to be square.
Yeah, so he kind of followed the formula of I'll take Detroit and I'll take the Ravens, right? And so Phil did that like the last 7 or 8 weeks, and I think they covered all every week. So overall, listen, I'm kind of messing around with Woodley because I give him a little bit of respect because he did stick with Minnesota and Seattle, and those were most of his wins. But you still have to pick 2 a week, and they just won. So even though I'm fucking around a little bit with him, but
guys, I can't wait for my turn. I'm just gonna speak. I'm gonna go right now. Mike,
but I had the best playoff run, and I said since week 7,
Danny,
the Eagles
you're gonna have to use the mute button.
2-1, the best team, and it wasn't close.
Danny,
I ended up being right.
Danny, we're all gonna insult Mike, and if he talks too much, you got to use the mute button.
You got to use your discretion.
I'm gonna start with myself. We should start with ourselves first. I'm gonna give myself an A. The reason why is because I told everybody that I bet my big money in the preseason. Detroit over 10.5 wins, Ravens over 10.5 wins. I bet $27,000 and I scooped those, and I bet $1K to $2K. After that, I looked, and I think it was between Woodley and I for most games won in our league, but I think Woodley actually picked more games right on the podcast, but I don't know. I didn't look that up. So I'm going to give Woodley a rating of an A. Okay. Cantu, I'm going to give Cantu, I'm thinking about giving Cantu a C only because he wouldn't stop talking about Russell Wilson. He wouldn't stop talking about Seattle and his preposterous claims, but I have to give Cantu a B minus. His picks, he didn't pick as many as I did. Now, Mike is the worst grade in history. He was 26 games below 500. That's a historically bad run. I looked it up. You might bet 1,000 seasons and it only happens twice. So the people at home, if you just bet against Mike, you were 26 games over 500. Okay, I will give Mike credit. He was on Philadelphia, and he did pick Philadelphia correctly for the Super Bowl. So maybe the F minus moves to an F. Woodley, rate yourself first.
Yeah, I think you can always do better, but this was a really strong year for me. I didn't pick Seattle that much.
Phil, what was your rating on Woodley? You didn't do Woodley.
He said A.
I gave him an A right away.
Oh,
He picked.
sorry, I didn't hear. Okay,
he
go
gave
ahead.
about the same. No, it's a fair question. He gave about the same amount of winners as I did, and he had smart takes. And I think the fact he picked Minnesota a lot made a lot of our viewers a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I get discredited for that, but I was right all along on them. So if something's working,
I agree.
it works. I only
I
picked Seattle, I think 5 times. There was other teams I picked in there. No, it was a good year. I think I hit 65%, which is, I don't think you can do much better in the NFL, right? I mean,
You can't.
some of it was luck driven, yes, but if I could do that every year, I would be a billionaire. I mean, if you could hit 65 in NFL. No, you could, because the
impossible.
NFL is the one sport you could get down 500K on every game, piece of cake. You never get limited at circa or whatever. So I give myself an A minus because you can always improve. But I hit the futures once too. I was looking back and I went 2 for 2 on this, and I think I went 5 or 6 on when you guys threw other ones out, and I was on that side. But I went 6 and 2 overall on the ones I actually threw down on. So I mean, it worked. I'm going to put more effort in the preseason futures win stuff because I think there's actually more of an edge to be found there. So
much
I agree.
value. I've
I
won
agree.
11 years in a row. That's my only claim, is that I've won 11 years in a row, and it's been documented.
I love the preseason win total.
There's so much skill in picking those, and like sometimes someone like Mike will give that to me.
There's a lot of skill. You know, Phil picked the two biggest chalks, and both of them. Well, Detroit. You know, they got injured, but when you pick the two biggest chalks and they win, like the year before, you had Frisco as the biggest chalk.
Yeah, but I didn't pick Frisco last year, Mike.
Yeah, but the two Detroit and the Ravens were number one and two chalk.
Mike, you gave me I'm going to come back to Woodley, but you gave me Carolina last year under 8.5. They won 2 games or something. I mean, it was ridiculous. So there's a lot of skill in the picking here. I listen to what you guys have to say. Woodley, continue. You need to rate the rest of us.
Yes, I do. I want to point out an error that Mike had. He did not go 15-3 in the playoffs. Like Mike, I give Mike an A for like whatever whatever fucking fucking land.
Why don't you go back? Why don't you go look back at our why don't you go look at the podcast and the playoffs and see how I did?
I look at when
go look. I don't even think I had one loser on the podcast in the playoffs.
You and I did 6 head-to-head.
Mike, did you pick 18 games?
Excuse me. We picked
Mike, did you pick 18 games?
No, but we
so you're not 15-3. You did well in the playoffs, but it's not 15-3. Woodley continue.
So he said he only had 3, but he lost 5 to me. We did 6 head-to-head bets. I won 5. He won.
Yeah,
Philly.
But that's when you're calling me up. Oh, please, come on, take the site because I want to beat you so bad. I fucking bet him with you, just like I bet the hockey with you yesterday. I didn't even want to bet Canada, but I want to beat you so bad. I beat you finally because I want to beat you so bad.
Mike took Canada.
So that doesn't even count as a bet. But what did I tell you about the hockey game? I said the only bet I really want to make is the under, which. It went to overtime and never had to switch.
Mike, what you said in our group chat was you had 5 cents the best of it. So you wanted to go with Canada. And like, who gives a shit about 5 cents?
The best.
It's like American pride.
What are you? That is a lie. That is a lie. I will bet you. I will bet 10,000 right now. You can't find any part that I said. Oh, I've got 5 cents the best of it. It was $1.10. It was $1.10 each way. Okay, it was $1.10 each way when I bet Canada against fucking Woodley.
You said in the group chat that Canada was minus 105 and moved to minus 110. So that has to be the sharp side. So you're like, well, I want to bet Canada.
No, I bet it. And then after I bet it with Woodley, I said, oh, look, the line moved my way. Maybe I have the right side. No, it went from plus 105 Canada to minus 110 after I already bet with the fucking idiot.
Where'd it close?
I have no idea where it closed.
Minus 125 America.
Oh, okay. See, I had no idea. So I was just telling you, I had already bet it with you, and I only bet it with you because I want to beat Woodley so bad.
What's funny is
half my losses this year is trying to beat Woodley. Like me and my friend Stu, we have this little take, like we just want to beat Woodley because he fucking thinks he knows everything, and whenever he's wrong, he never wants to admit it. Like he's still sucking around, going, "Yay, Carl Anthony Towns not on my team anymore! Yay!" Meanwhile, the guy's putting up historic numbers for the Knicks, and his team sucks. I bet he wishes he had him back.
We'll talk about that later, but I just want to point out you didn't only have 3 losses there, Mike, and you know Stu knows I'm sharp as well. He no longer takes my NASCAR trucks.
By the way, Stu is a friend of the podcast. We love him. He's on our regular chat. We love Stu.
He doesn't let me even take NASCAR trucks against him anymore. He knows my sharpness. So anyways, I appreciate Mike for acknowledging that and Stu. But Mike's rating. Mike had a historically bad run this year, and he can blame it all he wants on favorites won. But like, okay, you have to adjust, dude. It's a 20 fucking week season, all right? It wasn't a 1 week bad thing. Like, you're a fucking idiot for not adjusting, all right? You sat there, you're the most stubborn motherfucker on earth because all you did every week, square, I'm sharp. Me and Steve Fezzik are sharps. You're all fucking idiot. Me and Fezzik versus the world. Fezzik said this. Fezzik says fucking Starbucks is too expensive and Caesar's
You know how much that pisses me off? You know how much that pisses me off? Because I went against him about 18 times this year. You guys just like to make things up.
That's not that much.
I'm
18?
sure it was probably the 18 that he won because he didn't end up 30 games under 500 like you. You get an F. You get a complete and utter F. There's no other fucking explanation for it. Maybe it goes to a D- because you hit the Eagles, which you're parading around. That was the one thing you hit. You said the Chiefs were never going to make the Super Bowl, and all that.
He said that.
They shouldn't have.
I didn't do my rep, but I have two quick things on that Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs came in way overconfident, and I think it screwed them. I think Philly wins that game either way, but
No, Woodley, stick to the script. You got to rate
Yeah.
Cantu and then Cantu's going to rate us.
Cantu would get a C plus, but he gets a D because he wouldn't shut up about Russell Wilson, and for some reason he's a big Jason Kelsey fan, and that fucking we
talking
never
about
have to hear about the Kelsey. I never want to hear about the Kelseys again. All right, so you get a D, C plus if you get rid of those guys. Your record was okay. I feel like you're close to 500. Yeah, Phil gets an A minus as well because I would give him an A, but I think there's always room for improvement. So Phil gets like an A plus though on the preseason stuff for sure, and I would give him like an A minus on the spreads throughout the year.
Cantu, give us your rating. Start with yourself, Cantu.
Starting with myself, I'm going to give myself a B minus. I started out, man, the first 8 weeks. If we were going off the first 8 weeks, I had a real sluggish first 8 weeks. Then at about week 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there, got real hot. And then in the playoffs, I was on fire. I had like 3 undefeated weeks in a row, like really, really caught fire. So that's myself. Phil, I'm going to give Phil an A minus. Phil was good. He just like you guys already said, he was really good on the favorites, and stuck with the favorites, this was a favorite year, so it's hard to go against that. Woodley, I'm going to go with an A plus 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 because he found we're just giving our top 2 picks. Mike sits there and pitches him shit. Like, if you sit there and you just take the 2 teams that are winning, I mean, Seattle and Minnesota covered, they had to be, I didn't see the final rankings, they had to be at least be 2 of the top 3 teams that covered every week. It was a good strategy, and I went with Seattle a lot, so that helped me out. Now to Mike. I remember with Mike, me and Phil were like 2 little schoolgirls. I remember there's this time, I get one of us called each other, and we're like, wow, I think at the time, Mike's 32 games under 500 in one of these like pick'em leagues. And it's like 32 games. And we're like, okay, I can't remember what it was at, but let's just say it was out of 110 games or 110 picked games. It's something like that.
Impossible. The math doesn't even add up.
Phil and I, like 2 little schoolgirls, wait, let's put down our calculators. Let's figure out what are the odds of doing this. And I remember we figured out it was 1 in 178 years. If you were just picking blind, that you were going to pick this bad. And so really it was like once every 6 years or 6 out of 1,000 years, something like that. Anyways, with that, I have to give Mike an F minus 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 minus. Sorry, Mike. Yes, you got the Super Bowl right. It was just too much to come back from. He stuck with the underdogs all year.
Okay, guys, now it's time to talk about our new series of bets. So listen, what I like is I think we're going to talk about NBA first. So, and I like this, and then also we can make some NASCAR picks for those. Like Woodley's pretty sharp at the NASCAR.
Really? We're going to have NASCAR picks on this show?
Yes, we are.
Oh, come on, man. NASCAR's for fucking idiots like fucking Woodley,
We're
okay?
going to have our good
Mike,
friend
you're not going to
Jason
pick the
Warren.
NASCAR
Nobody that watches this show will ever watch a NASCAR fucking game. So let's like axe that right away.
Mike,
Well, it's not a game,
Mike,
it's
hold
a
on,
race.
hold on. Let's start with the NBA first. And then I think this, Mike, there's going to be bets throughout the year that we just like, that we see. And I think we should be able to make those, bring those bets.
I think I'll take Denny Hamlin to win the Toyota fucking at Talladega, and people tune in and be like, the what? The fucking Talladega 500? Oh, yeah.
Mike, we have a
who gives
special
a
guest.
fuck?
We have a special guest we want to bring in for a little NASCAR segment that we think might be pretty funny and might be good ratings. We like good
Mike,
ratings.
let's start with you. We're going to go to NBA championships picks, okay? Who's your pick? Where do you think some value is? We've all looked at the board. We all spent some time thinking about this.
I mean, I'm not gonna fucking jack around like everybody else. This is a Boston and OKC NBA Finals. I don't care any way you look at it. I don't care any way you slice it. This is a Boston and OKC NBA Finals. I would be completely shocked if anything else. Boston has gone 7-1 the last 8 games. It looks like they came out with an NBA kind of championship slump. They were also had a bunch of injuries, and they look like they're rounding out. I don't see how the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though they're 45-10, are anywhere close to Boston. I think the only team in the East close to Boston is the Knicks if they get healthy, right? But like Ona, what's his name? Onagji, whatever his name is for the Knicks. He's been injured. Anunoby. He's supposed to come back. Mitchell Robinson's been out all year. They need a big down low to anchor the defense. He's supposed to be back this week. If those two come back and they play at a significant high level, the Knicks have a chance. But I see Boston and the East.
Okay, Mike, let me point one thing out here. Basically, Boston's 2-1 to win the championship. Oklahoma's 2-1 to win the championship. So if you bet $1,000 on each, that's 2,000 bet. If one of them wins it, you get your money back. In other words, you have to there's just not much value with those picks, but it's fine.
I'm gonna go on the limb. I really believe that the picking up Hartenstein in the offseason, picking up Caruso as one of the best wing defenders in the league with all their size. I'm gonna go on the limb. I'm gonna say OKC is gonna win the title.
Well, it's not much of a limb. They're 1.7 to 1 or whatever it is to win the championship. Woodley, you got any value for us?
They're breaking the record for all-time wins, and Mike is just like, we're going out on a
Mike never takes a chalk, by the way.
No, but I mean, it's like you could go, like you hear all these people talking about, the Lakers and Luka. Luka looks like a high school player right now. And you hear, and they have no size. And I know you guys are going to rip on me for this. Okay, and I don't care.
How do you rip on somebody for taking chalk? I mean,
okay, but I really think Anthony Davis, they say, is 2 weeks away, and that's 6 games. If Dallas can go 3-3 over the next 6 games, and Anthony Davis comes back and looks like he did when in his first game for Dallas, just watch out, man, because that Dallas team, they could be the second best team.
We know all the talking.
Mike called them the best team in the NBA.
You picked 2 chalks, and so that's fine, though. I got
a question.
Because
about
in the NBA, the best teams just win 90% of the time.
I agree,
not like
Mike.
the other sports.
I agree. Woodley, you have anything other than the top 2 teams?
One second, guys. I have a question about this segment. Can I ask a clarification? Are we picking what do we think? Who do we think is going to be in the finals, or the best value on odds for the betting market?
Either one.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I happen to agree with Mike that I think it looks to me like, especially Oklahoma, but they're pretty young. They still might be 1 year away, but man, Shea Gilchrist, they've just been killing it.
Shea's the MVP. Denver's got a shot. Okay. Denver's got a real shot.
Okay, Mike. Anyways, do you want the Mike Win podcast? You took the chalk. I'm not. Even though, obviously, they're going to be favored. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the final 4.
Oh, you're going to take the Wolves, your home team.
I'm going to give you the final 4. It's going to be Boston and the Knicks. I think Cleveland is a year or so away. And then it is going to be the Thunder, and it's going to be the Timberwolves, as long as they can get the 6th seed. As long as they can get the 6th seed, which they will.
Carl Anthony Towns ain't walking back through that door, motherfucker.
Yeah. So they've been playing well. So
poor Woodley, we ridicule his Minnesota picks every week, and yet he delivered such great value for us. Continue, Woodley.
They're 50 to 1 though. They're 50 to 1.
The Minnesota Wild's going to win the NHL championship this year too.
No, probably not, but there's value there too. But you asked what the value is. I think there's a lot of value there with Minnesota at 50 to 1 because they have been playing a lot better recently. They just they just beat Oklahoma City, by the way. Okay, so
I'm joking with you. They are playing better.
They're playing better,
and they're getting healthy.
And I tell you this a million times. They had to make a decision on how they wanted to build the team moving forward. If they would have kept Karl Anthony Towns, they would have had to get rid of everybody. They would have had to get rid of Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, all these other people.
I get it. I'm just messing with you.
I would have loved if they could have got rid of Gobert, but nobody wanted Gobert. They're playing a lot better as of late. They put DiVincenzo in the starting lineup for Conley. They're starting to play Dillinger, quite a bit more. They're playing better, and it's this whole the regular season like doesn't matter, and these teams are starting to figure it out. Now, when you trade Karl Anthony Towns, who was the glue of that team for the past 10 years, it's going to take a while to like
What do you
figure
mean?
out.
You told me Nas Reed was better, and you were happy he was gone.
Yeah, I was happy he was gone because I'm happy they got rid of Towns versus having to get rid of like the 3 other players and not being able to sign anybody. They can now, once Randall's off the books, they can now sign a free agent and stuff. Like if they, Mike, I'm telling you this, if they would have kept Towns,
No, I know.
they could not have brought
I
on
got
a
it.
single player the next like 4 years. All right, so that's it. Yeah, Towns is
I
doing
agree.
great, good for him. I think that Knicks are going to make the semifinals. I think Boston's going to for sure win the East. But give me the value there with Minnesota, like 30-1 to win the West and 50-1 to win it all. I don't think they beat the Celtics there, but again, they just beat the Thunder. They're playing well, and you look at the rest of the West. The only other team that kind of worries me there,
Denver's on fire. They've won a season high 8 straight games, all by double digits. That's never happened in the history of their franchise. That's even more than when they won the title 2 years ago.
I think the
Joker's
Nuggets,
putting up record numbers.
I think the Nuggets.
What is Denver to win it, guys?
I think it was like 10-1 or 15-1.
I know. I think it's 7-1. I just looked.
Wow, I'm seeing 16-1 on FanDuel.
Oh, to win it all. Sorry, that was to win the West. It's 6-1 to win the West.
Yeah,
so maybe I
there's
like
some
that
value.
bet. Just put a little bit of
6-1.
money on that one.
Yeah, 6-1.
Cantu,
Interesting on them.
what do you think?
As far as I'm going to do two parts to this. Who do I think is going to make the NBA Finals? I think Boston. I actually love Boston. I think it's plus 235. Actually, I don't love them to win it. I mean, yeah. Do I think Boston's going to win it all? Yeah. I don't love anything at plus 235 to win it all, but I love them to win the East. I mean, that's about even money, and I absolutely love them to win the East. As far as the West, I don't love betting this, but I do. If I had to just take a pick, I'm going to take the chalk. I'm going to take Boston versus OKC. Would I bet OKC? No. Here's who I like, though. I'm going to go with Woodley. I love Minnesota at 50-1 to win the final. I mean, I think when you can make a big trade like that, it takes a long time in the NBA to gel, get your team clicking. We've seen this so many times in the NBA where sometimes it takes a team a full year, and I'm hoping it doesn't take them that long, but at 50-1, a lot of meat on the bones. I also even like it maybe even better at 20-1 to win the West. Another team I like is the Bucks. The Bucks at 12-1. If they are going to go down, Dave can always get so hot in the playoffs, and he hasn't been playing like exceptionally.
The Bucks suck.
Well, right now they have the manpower that if they start clicking, I'll take some Bucks at 12-1.
Okay, guys, I'm coming with the Golden State Warriors at 65-1. Yeah, you. Yeah,
You can
that's
make
65-1.
crap. We knew this was coming. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, no, I mean,
Draymond was out in San Francisco on the porch going, "We're gonna win the championship," because he was trying to fire up his fan base outside. Like there's no way that he meant deep down inside he literally felt what he said. He was just trying to pump the fan
Phil,
base.
go on. I like it.
yeah, it's 65-1, Mike. I mean, it's like when Cantu throws something out there and you're like, it'll never happen. No, okay. I'm just saying all it has to do is happen 1 out of 60 times and I make money.
They got no size.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Kuminga's been out. He's going to come back, or maybe he came back last game. And then what you have is, it's unbelievable. Jimmy Butler, this is what they have not had. This is what they have not had is you got Steph hitting the threes. When you really need a basket, throw it to Jimmy. He gets double teamed. He throws the ball up. He gets fouled. They need this. And I'm like, oh my God, this gels. I thought, and I was with the Warriors owner. I sat on the floor when they played Phoenix, and the agent and Kevin Durant's agent was there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is, I would love to see. And he comes to every game. And I was like, oh my God, Kevin Durant's agent's here. Kevin Durant's in the building. I thought to myself, if they could get KD, they can win this championship.
Did you see the interview of why he didn't go there?
Mike, there's a lot of spins that go on with this stuff. So
I want to
Durant,
hear, Mike. Can you tell me?
Go ahead.
I want to know.
No, I mean, I was watching part of the interview yesterday, and I didn't actually watch it. I said, "Did you see it?"
I of course didn't want to go on, but I do want to hear what you got to say.
But I and then also KD was also rumored to go to Mr. Woodley's Minnesota Timberwolves, and that Minnesota was trying to do everything they could to trade for him, and I guess the deal fell apart. But like Minnesota was very active in trying to get
all
KD.
I know is this: the minute that Kevin Durant didn't go, all these press came out saying he didn't want to go. Well, I don't know. I mean, it just feels like whenever Kevin Durant doesn't want to do something or does want to do something, there's all this press that says, I wanted this, I didn't want this. And I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty smart. His agent's pretty sharp.
He did an interview on NBA Today 2 days ago, and I was watching it, and I actually, as he was coming on, and I fell asleep, and I'm being honest. I don't want to, but I was going to go.
Mike, I'm sure that the viewers really love the fact that you fell asleep and didn't watch it.
I got to interrupt here. I was really excited to hear. I thought Mike was going to have some breaking news. He was going to be like, "Oh, Durant's ex-girlfriend was sleeping with one of the players." I thought he was going to give us some breaking insider that none of us heard. I was like, "Mike, go." He was like, "Well, I didn't really watch it." That was his thing. I didn't really watch it.
I heard it was a really good interview, so I wanted to watch it. And then the phone rang, and the cats were all over.
Just stop talking. Danny, mute him. He's talking about how he didn't watch an interview. This is what we're spending our time on the podcast.
I just
Mike
asked
telling
you guys
us,
watched
I heard it was going to be a good interview, Phil, but my phone rang, and then this guy called,
I just
and then I
asked
had
if
to
you
play
watched
online
it.
poker.
I thought it was going to be juicy.
But I will say this: I think if the Warriors would have gotten Kevin Durant, I think they would have gone immediately to 18-1. I think they would have had a chance to win it all. Jimmy buckets is the second best thing. So at 65-1, I'm going to take them, and they just have a way. Curry has magic, man. He has magic. He can score 50 points anytime against anybody. He's unstoppable. And Draymond has this great defensive philosophy. He's got everybody bought in. At 60, I can't believe they're 65-1. I think that there's something wrong with the odds
combined.
makers.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. At a combined, their big three is 102 years old. That's true. That's true.
Okay, all right. So that's kind of my pick. I mean, I think we all kind of see this is a sport where we've talked about this, which I love this. I ask people, how often does the best NFL team win the Super Bowl? And the really smart people always come back with 40% of the time, right? And that's about right because it's one game and things get upset. You ask how often the best team wins in the NBA, it's going to be 90, 95% of the time, barring injury.
Right.
And so there's just not as much swing there, but there's not as much. And then we were talking about the NHL earlier. How often does the best NHL team win it all? What would you say, Woodley?
20%.
20. I don't know, 20.
A President Cup.
30,
well,
30%.
here, no, it's not
25.
even that much. A President Cup trophy winner hasn't won the title in 20 years, 18
but
years.
that doesn't mean that's the best team though, Mike, because
if you have the most points, with the best record, isn't that considered the best team going into the
I always think the best team.
It's like a quarter. It's like 25% because if it wasn't, it's not as low as you think, Mike, because there's a reason why guys like Sidney Crosby has won a bunch. There's a reason why the Blackhawks were able to go do it. There's,
the Florida Panthers last year were the best team going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
and they
almost won it. And they almost won it the year before too. So it's like 25%. Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna tell the viewers the bet that I've been making and I've been doing really well on is I love this prop bet. So my favorite bet's been I'm betting Steph Curry when I know he's fresh over. So they have a rebounds listed. And so a lot of times it's over 4.5 rebounds for Steph, and he just keeps hitting 5, 6, 7 rebounds every game. So that's what I've been doing. I've been betting the Steph Curry over on rebounds. But if I know it's a back-to-back, I might not bet it. But especially when he's fresh, it seems like that's been mispriced to me, and I've been making a lot of money on that. I also like betting the over-under numbers on points scored, and it's always kind of fun for me to bet guys that are formerly explosive players where their number's 8. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, if this guy gets hot, he can have 30. So I've been doing well betting these little prop bets, and it's been fun for me to bet them. It gives me a reason to watch the game. Mike, any thoughts?
Phil calls me, and he's like, man, why are these numbers so low? I went over Curry, I went over this guy, Their number on the All-Star game, 5.6 points. I go, Phil, they're playing 40-point games. And he's like, they are? He didn't know that they changed the format to 3 40-point games. So he had 10 10 bets. It's almost like you guys make fun of me about the
That's
Detroit
pretty
Lions.
funny. That's
I
funny.
About
lost
the
two
Detroit
bets.
about
Mike, by the way, I
know
lost
you
two
probably
bets.
won a bunch. I think you won a lot of them, right?
No, I only made 2, but one of them I lost by half a point. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
That
you
is
told me that,
funny.
and I'm like, really? I was like, oh my God, this is free
Yeah.
money for me. Steph
Right.
Curry.
He was calling me saying, he's all like, Mike, he goes like, how did I get so-and-so over 7 points? And how did I get Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over 8 points? I'm like, Phil.
Shea went over.
That's funny, Mike.
Yeah.
Shea
It was,
went
so
over.
I just wanted to put a little needle in because you
That's
guys
fair.
like to make fun
Okay.
of me.
All right. Listen, I love, we're going to do a new segment here. We're going to do our favorite bets of the weekend. Okay. And I like these bets. I already told you that I kind of like the Steph Curry over on the rebounds. Woodley, you can go wherever you want. You can choose any bet on the board. You can go to NASCAR. You can go to NBA. What's your favorite bet of the weekend? And also, Woodley, who did you pick in our league for golf this week?
It's not good. Let's not go there. It's Taylor Moore who
Yeah, but
I
you
just
got to,
checked-
but that's fine though. I mean, like,
No, I know.
like,
What was the price on him? What'd you get him at?
No, here's what's
No.
happening, Cantu. We have this golf league on Splash Sports. And I'm like, they really begged me to play. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to, I like the way Woodley thinks. So I said, Woodley, I'm going to stake you. So I put up $2,500 for him to play for 50% or whatever it was. Just giving him half the money. You can only choose one golfer per tournament for the entire season, Cantu, and their cash winning total counts. So you probably want to save Scheffler for the Masters, where the cash is the highest. It's very interesting. So if you pick Taylor Moore this week, who cares, Woodley? It's
Yeah.
about like
The bummer was the one that hurts was last week. We were actually debating it. The first one we went with was the guy that actually won it last week, but we switched it last second and that one hurt. So we said, okay, now we're just going with
my
the
brother
first
had him,
one.
Aberg to
Yeah.
win down in San Diego.
We had him, and then we were like, maybe we should save him for later. But then what we said moving forward is like, we're just going to pick the one that comes to the top of the projections and try to win. No, Moore had a bad one. I mean, it hasn't been a great start, but the fun part about these one and dones is it's a marathon, and the key is just
Okay,
winning
Woodley,
a few.
go to your bet of the week.
My pick of the week is we're gonna pick 2 drivers for the NASCAR race coming up at Atlanta. Ryan Blaney
Oh, I
at 11.
can't wait.
Ryan Blaney at 11-1 and Brad Keselowski at 20-1. It's Atlanta is kind of running like a super speedway these days. They did a repave. They're going to be racing in packs, and you take the 2 drivers that are 2 of the best at that. And unlike Daytona, which Cantu is there, which is total fucking wreck fest. I mean, it's like everybody
What
wrecks
a
every year.
joke! Like I'm
That is so much
not
fun.
I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I do usually watch the Daytona 500 every year, and I just felt like really let's have a restart, and then let's just if you're behind, let's run the guy off the road and hope there's a crash and I can go to the front.
Well,
because
that's
I
not-
watched that happen 3 times. Is that normal?
Yeah.
every race at Daytona is like that. It's just the nature of it, because they make the cars be like, that's the only way to race. You have to race in the draft, and that's the only way to pass. It's hard to pass, and there's always wrecks. I mean, it's a good spectacle. It's not very good racing, and it's a tough one to handicap, because you literally just have to be there at the end, and there's 20 guys that get wrecked out that did nothing wrong, that just happened to be 10 guys in front of them wreck, and then everybody's flipping over and all that as well. Like Atlanta, you still have to have that same skill set, right? I loved Keselowski this last week as well, but he got wrecked.
I mean, the guy won back-to-back Daytona 500s, and with 2 laps to go, you probably could have got 1,000 to 1 on the guy.
Well, he wouldn't have gotten that.
not
Wouldn't
that
have gotten
far,
that high.
but-
It would have been like 15, because they odds makers know what
Keselowski
they're
won?
doing. No. Byron won.
Byron
But he
won
was-
the
Yeah, well,
back-to-back years.
let me tell you what happens in the final 10 laps of Daytona. They have to do 4 wide racing, and everybody just goes for it. So that's why you see some of the worst wrecks you will ever see. I don't know if you guys saw the wreck where that driver, they could have killed him. He got so far up there, and his car is I don't know if you can see it just drafted back, and he lands on his hood. I was like, oh my God, I hope he's not dead. And to be honest, that's a little bit of the excitement of it too.
He had a worse one a couple of years ago. It's funny, and they actually changed the layout, because on the backstretch there used to be backstretch is where a lot of the bad Red top and the backstretch used to have grass. And what would happen is if a car had like a flat and it caught the grass, it would throw it up like that. And that's what happened to him. But somehow he still went upside down. And you know, there's a lot of talk there. The drivers hate it. Like the drivers don't like being in these wrecks. I mean, you could fucking die in them. And if you don't die, like even when they walk out and they're okay, like they're still like not 100%, right? These guys are tough as shit. Like I would never get back in the car for that. But Atlanta, it's similar skill set, but a lot less variance. So I like Blaney and I like Keselowski at good numbers.
Keselowski, I like Keselowski. I've hung out with him before. All right, Cantu, what's your bet of the week?
My bet of the week, the line is not out yet, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to take. Anything anti-Suns.
Oh my God! That was what my bet of the week is.
No way, that's
anti-Suns.
That is impossible.
Swear to God. I swear because
they're so bad. They were
in a
bad.
They were in a must-win game yesterday with no Wembyami. Right? This is the game they had to get their second half started. No, but I was thinking the exact same thing
because we have not talked about that. Anti-Suns on the spread.
You guys never agree. Also, so continue, Cantu.
The Suns are in complete disarray. Nobody wants to be there. Kevin Durant tried to get traded so many times. You know, they tried to get Beal out. You want to talk about a team that truly hates each other, like to the max. Like they hate each other. Like they don't want to be there. Yeah, they probably like the girls in Scottsdale. That's probably like the one thing they do like there. But other than that, I mean, there is nothing going. And for at least the next week or two, anti-Suns everything until the line catches up to where it should be. I think they missed the playoffs.
Yeah. Mike, you agree?
My you know what you said, what my bet is this week, and I swear on my life my answer was going to be anti-Suns because
amazing.
I like the fact that like coming out of the All-Star break, right? They're like, okay, this is the game they have to win. They're going against the Spurs, and then Wembyami gets ruled out for the year, the day before, and I'm like, okay, this is a must-win game for the Suns, and I was thinking about betting them yesterday because I knew how much it meant to them, and they got the shit kicked out of them with no Wembyami.
And if they're the favorites, I like money line. If they're the favorites, you know, and you can get a plus. I don't care who. I don't care if it's the Wizards. I would be taking that.
And people don't realize why are the Suns so bad, right? And it's like Devin Booker cannot make a shot. It's
chemistry.
Like here's a guy.
I think it's chemistry. Draymond Green will tell you. Chemistry. I'm not saying that he would say about this team.
Well, I agree. It's chemistry, but
chemistry.
Like Devin Booker is like one of the best shooters the league's ever seen, and all of a sudden the guy. I mean, he looked and he.
Too many
it's
players.
Not like he's had injuries. Like we could give like Luka Doncic a break right now because he was off for like almost 2 months, and so it's taking him time to get in the rhythm. But Booker is just like fall off a cliff.
It's too many players that don't care on one team, and that are very selfish. And when that happens, and there's too many of them, this is what happens. Especially when they almost all got traded, everybody's disgruntled.
Yeah, I think that's a great thought, guys. By the way, which two drivers did you say, Woodley? I'm going to bet this right now. You're talking about the NASCAR Cup Championship,
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, Keselowski and Ryan Blaney.
Keselowski is 28-1 on my side. I just bet 300.
Make sure that's for the race itself and not the championship.
Well, I think I bet on the championship. Too late.
Well,
I mean, there's value there. I like that.
20. That's I'll take that. All right. Hey guys. All right. Do we have, I think we might end up calling this an early session. I kind of like this. I think from now on, we're going to do bet of the weeks for the fans at home. I like that. The problem is, see, the NFL games, they post those numbers literally Monday night. And then if we record on Tuesday, we're out, we're good. Now, the problem is that the NBA games, like I was trying to find the line for a game 2 nights from now. And that would have been very helpful because Mike and Cantu are like, I don't care what the line is, bet against the Suns. It would also be nice if we could find that line. Right. So I'm going to bet against the Suns because of you guys. And I like the fact, because you're so in tune with the same thing, I'm going to find a way to bet on that. But I can't bet at this moment. So I think we have to do the best we can. Maybe we'll be recording on Tuesdays from now on. I like giving a golf winner pick. That's fun for me. I bet one bet this year. Only one bet. I had Scheffler at 4.5 to 1, and he took the lead, and he just wasn't the same. You could see he just wasn't the same. But for me, the golf's fun. I've been super hot. I've made $30,000, $40,000 betting golf. I think Woodley's done really well with the NASCAR stuff. And then I think it's also going to be fun. We have a very exciting series. Mike, we have the NC2A March Madness coming. And so we're going to have to bone up on that and make sure that we're...
I'm a little bit, down on college sports. I mean, the fact that, do I think like being able to go to the portal and transfer to another school and not take a year off was good for college sports? Yes. But now that you have all the NIL deals, and now somebody signs with a team and then all of a sudden somebody else offers more money, so they go into the portal. I just think that's something that needs to be changed. Like, if you sign with a team and you're getting the NIL money, like, if I would like the rule change back that if you transfer out, you miss a season, because it's really destroyed college sports as far as I see. And so I really don't pay that much attention to it, but
thanks for that. Thanks for that insight, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's going to be interesting, Mike. You're going to have to.
I got a question for you guys,
Mike. When we do the NC2A picks, which is going to be a lot of fun in a week or two, you can sit out and say you know nothing and just pick NBA games. But I think Cantu and Woodley and I are going to have some fun looking into those numbers.
The one thing I didn't hear from you guys about and is like if Kansas City Chiefs played the Eagles 20 times. How many times do you think the fucking Kansas City Chiefs beats the Eagles? 2?
I think 5, maybe. It's
I mean, would you guys agree that the Eagles were the best team in football this year?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, but we don't the best team doesn't always win. Like the last 2 years, Kansas City won, and I don't think they were the best team or even close. And I think the best team this year is the first time the best teams won since Kansas City won it in 2019. I think in that era, they were the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would win it like five times, because there's a lot of variance that could happen in a single game.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City, they thought they were going to waltz to the three-peat. They were talking three-peat. They took their eyes off the prize. Like, I mean, look at what they showed up wearing. Like, Mahomes shows up in some like goofy ass like green suit, which is the team you're playing.
Yeah.
And then like Kelsey looks like the biggest fucking douchebag ever with what he did. You see him after the game? He had to put it back on. They lose by like 40, and he looks like a fucking clown. Like, I hope that this is the end.
Did you see the replays of how bad Kelsey actually played in this game? How many missed blocks? All those missed blocks that allowed Mahomes to just get completely just ravaged.
Well, and he dropped the ball too. He played terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he again, like, a lot of things have to go right that game for Kansas City to even be in that game. But but listen, Kelsey is the star. He's the main man, and he wants to do all this blah blah blah, do all this stuff. He came out flat. He had a horrible game, and I mean, I don't know. He probably should retire, but he won't.
As a feel-good story, shout out to Jalen Hurts. I mean, this guy had took all the shit. Like, he got benched at Alabama for Tua. They said after he got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago and played bad last year that he sucks after he got the money. And like, this guy, he came out and balled. I mean, in the playoffs, he played great. Give him
Mike,
credit.
let me just speak to the Jalen Hurts, okay? Because I've been a fan ever since he was at Alabama, and he gracefully... Like, when Draymond Green took David Lee's position, and David Lee was the highest paid player on the team.
Yeah, I remember.
David Lee stood up like a man. He cheered everybody. He stood up. He shook everybody's hand on the way in. You saw him clapping every single game. I thought that was so classy of David Lee, who's a friend of mine. I was like, wow, nice job. And then you look at what Hurts did. And all these guys are whining about, I deserve this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Hurts got... Instead of giving up in year 2 at Alabama, when Tua got hurt, he stepped in for that championship game, not the final game, and he won it easily for them. He was ready. There was no whining all year about, I lost my starting position in the national championship. None of that. Now he goes to Oklahoma and handles himself perfectly there. Then he goes to Philadelphia. And I did not believe that Jalen Hurts could
As an
make
NFL
it
quarterback. Me
as
neither.
an NFL quarterback because I thought he scrambled too much. Instead, he worked his ass off. You never heard him complain. You never heard him whine. And this guy, I'm going to applaud him because he's steady, he's consistent, and he's had a great attitude. And you know what? In the second to last game, he had a great game, completing these crazy passes down the field. And then he had another really good game in the Super Bowl. A good guy finishes first. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. Well said, Mike.
Yeah.
And so I like that.
And the thing is like, you know, when we were kind of handicapped in the Super Bowl, we all felt like Philadelphia's roster was better in all the positions but quarterback and coach. And now you go to the Super Bowl, right? And Andy Reid was completely outcoached, and Jalen Hurts completely dominated Mahomes as a quarterback in the quarterback spot. And so kudos to them. I mean, I'm a big fan of people that work hard, right? Jalen Hurts coming out of college, like he was terrible as a pocket passer, and to work that hard, to learn how to read the defenses, to become the quarterback he is, like we were putting like XYZ in a top 5. Like Jalen Hurts is like a top 6 quarterback, 7 quarterback. I mean,
I agree.
He was. Come on, he was like. I'm an Oklahoma fan, and like so, you know, Hurts played there. He should have won the Heisman that year. I mean, he wasn't unheralded coming out of college. Like, I think everybody knew he had like the skill
Woodley,
set.
did you believe he'd be a successful NFL quarterback, a top 10 quarterback?
I thought he'd be successful. I didn't have him as a Super Bowl winner though.
Could
but like,
you ever believe that he could be better than Tua? Okay.
Because Woodley, I want to go back and see all your old texts if you thought he was going to be a top 10 quarterback.
No. I always thought he could be a good quarterback. I never saw this coming. I was never a Tua guy. There's the like I don't have any texts with you guys going back there, but I would have taken Hurts over Tua in a heartbeat. I always thought Tua was like the most overrated QB I've ever seen. I don't know, what does that say? Oh, okay, cool.
Stephen Curry tonight over 4.5 rebounds. Unfortunately, the people at home aren't going to be able to use this bet because the game's in like 3 hours. But
you could post it on
and they can
social.
check to see if I was wrong. Okay, all right, guys. So let's see what else. Really good thought, Mike. I like that. And man, I almost took Hurts at 3.5 to 1 as MVP. I really like that bet a lot.
I had him.
And I should have had him because that does seem like a good bet to me. Let's see, Cantu, any thoughts? Any closing thoughts on anything at all?
Yeah, in the sports world, it's baseball season. My kids have an indoor baseball tournament. As soon as I get out of here, I am racing 2 hours away for this tournament.
You have to drive 2 hours. Wow.
2 hours.
But your kids are like all-stars. Your kids are like all-stars.
They're good. They're going to play about 100 games this year. Like
100 games. Wow. Yeah. Busy season for you.
Busy season.
I got one thing. We got to thank EdgeBoost again. Check it out, edgeboost.bet. That's edgeboost.bet. 100% approval rating on your deposits and up to a 0.5% cash back. And thank you, as always, to them for letting us do this.
Nice. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it early. This is an early one for us, 1 hour and 14 minutes. But I think we covered a lot. I think people wanted to hear from me about I haven't gone public since I released that, since I talked about not playing the World Series of Poker. I think people wanted to hear how we broke down the Super Bowl. And I think these NBA bets are fun, and I'm kind of looking forward to the next few weeks where we're just going to basically, I love this, and I think you guys all agree, everybody does their top 2 bets. I don't care what it's in. Mike apparently does not like college sports, but you know what's going to happen, guys? After the first weekend, Mike's going to be like, it was unbelievable. It's March Madness. There's going to be 6 teams left, and Mike's going to be like, Kansas is going to win, and this team's going to win, and all of a sudden Mike's going to like college sports because it's March Madness.